Hi there and welcome to the program. The 54th edition of the National Unity Day has come and gone. It was celebrated under the theme National Unity, bedrock of our defense forces, backbone of our development. Talking about the defense forces, it was a display of alertness, readiness, and force needed to defend the unity, the integrity, and sovereignty of the Cameroonian nation. A wide range of achievements have come along with the unity of Cameroon in 1972. Top on the list is the strength that unity generates. It has not only been people coming together, it has been a measure of cultures, as many as we have ethnic origins in the country. Let there be one people, one nation, one destiny has been the ultimate goal. Down the lane, gaping fissures have unarguably come into the picture and are challenging our unity. Our concern today on Press R is to identify the main achievements, examine what is making them not to be the backbone of our development, then suggest which ways such achievements can be consolidated for a nation characterized by peace, unity, justice, integrity, and progress. I am Kilian Dandy from Yaoundé, and this is Press R. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are just joining us, this is Press R, and we are broadcasting live from Studio 4 of the CRTV Production Center at Mbala 2 in Yaoundé. Our topic today is National Unity Day. How do we consolidate our achievements? And to talk about this topic today, we have invited Leon Amala Brooks. He's a civil society actor, and he is a diasporan. We have Dr. Ayuk Takemeyang, who is an economist. He's a public affairs analyst. We have Mr. Fru Jonathan. He is an elite. I want to call him an elite because he's an elite from different parts of the country. And he is also the chargé de mission of the CPDM Central Committee. Ndi Eugene Ndi is the publisher. He is the editor-in-chief of News Watch magazine. Gentlemen, you're welcome to Press R today.
Pleasure. Always a pleasure to be around here.
We're going to move forward. We don't have time for niceties. Our topic is so important that we're going to delve into the discussion. But that will be after press review, our first slot on the program, done for us as usual by Angela Mbong.
This week's press review is dominated by nationwide celebrations marking Cameroon's 54th National Day alongside major developments across the country. The Guardian Post leads with the headline, Biya leads nation to fete 54th National Day. The paper describes how President Paul Biya chaired celebrations at the May 20th Boulevard in Yaoundé in his capacity as Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. The English Daily highlights the presence of top state officials, diplomats and members of government during the event. Cameroon Insider paints a broader national picture, indicating that citizens across all 10 regions turned out massively to celebrate the National Day. The paper emphasizes the atmosphere of patriotism, historical symbolism, and national pride that characterized military and civilian march past nationwide. Still in national affairs, Cameroon Insider says government authorities have uncovered more than 200 illegal gold mining operators in the eastern Adamawa regions. The newspaper explains that investigations revealed that over 95% of the companies involved are foreign-owned, raising concerns over exploitation of the country's natural resources. Turning to the economy, the Guardian Post says Cameroon public debt has risen to 15,416 billion francs CFA as of March 31, 2026. The paper cites figures from the Autonomous Sinking Fund indicating that the debt represents 44.3% of the country's gross domestic product. In the agricultural sector, the situation at the palm plantations continues to attract media attention. The Sun newspaper carries assurances from palm general manager Bile Tapeya, who dismisses social media claims suggesting deep malaise within the company. The newspaper explains that delays in salary payments stem from technical difficulties caused by the 2024 boiler blast, which affected production and revenue flow. In the Northwest region, the Horizon says the Bamenda Urban Crossing project has attained 31% completion. The newspaper attributes the revelation to the Northwest Regional Delegate of Public Works. On the other hand, the Post stresses environmental concerns linked to the project. Moving to the education, the Post informs its readers that secondary education authorities in the Southwest region are intensifying measures against examination malpractice ahead of this year's GCE examinations. The newspaper indicates that nearly 80% of schools have already adopted a policy requiring the installation of CCTV surveillance cameras in examination halls. In health, Cameroon Insider focuses on government actions to prevent a possible hantavirus threat. The newspaper says Public Health Minister Dr. Manauda Malashi recently chaired a multi-stakeholder meeting to discuss preventive measures against the virus, which the World Health Organization considers an emerging public health concern. And in sports, headlines this week were largely dominated by the return of Cameroonian MMA star Francis Ngannou. The Horizon announces that Ngannou made a triumphant comeback with a first-round knockout victory. The median goes further to highlight the financial reward attached to the victory, while the Herald Tribune adopts a more dramatic tone, describing how Predator Ngannou preys on Brazilian lynx. That wraps up this week's press review. Join us next time for another edition on What the Papers Would Have Said.
Thank you so much, Angela Mbong. And that next time will be next week. That will be on Sunday for another edition of Press Hour. Our topic again for today, if you are just joining us, National Unity Day. How do we consolidate our achievements? And that's the question I start by asking Mr. Food Jonathan. It is not how do we consolidate. I'm going to start. We are going to start on the program today by identifying our achievements. What will you say we have achieved from Unity and by Unity Day 1972? Even if you go way back before that time, it falls within the confines, the backdrop, the ambit of our topic of today.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kilian. We're talking about national unity, how to consolidate our achievements. And I think before...
We are talking about the achievements.
Of course,
the
achievements.
Let's identify those achievements.
Of course. Before talking about achievements, I think it's important to look at the concept of unity itself. Okay. Because this is a concept that has been ongoing in our country since independence, even up to today. We see that Cameroonians voluntarily accepted, like West Cameroon, voluntarily accepted to join their brothers in East Cameroon to become the United Republic of Cameroon. And that unity moved forward to now cover the whole country, because we are talking of people who decide to live together in solidarity with a common vision, with a common destiny. And if they decided in a democratic atmosphere to become united, it's because they saw that there are some virtues, there are some advantages of being united. You know that we generally say united we stand, divided we fall. They say if you are united, you're strong. If you're united, you progress. There's development that comes with unity. So when we look at the case of our country, we discover that since independence, all the efforts of our various head of states, President Amadou Ahidjo, President Paul Biya, towards unity, have ensured, have permitted us to achieve peace. They've permitted us to achieve stability and democracy in our country. This is an important achievement, because we can proudly say today that Cameroon is one of the most peaceful countries in Africa. Cameroon is one of the most stable countries in Africa. Cameroon is one of the most democratic countries in Africa. This is manifested in what we see every day in free elections. The people can express themselves freely, and they all unite like one person and stand behind the unity of the country. They stand behind their head of state, President Paul Biya. You remember President Paul Biya now is ruling for 43 years, which means that all Cameroonians put themselves together and they say they will stand behind the head of state because there is peace in the country, there is democracy in the country. We can equally talk about economic...
Before you move forward on that point you have just made, in democracy, people don't just go on the same track. In the last election we had, true, after the election, the president is the president of all Cameroonians, whether you voted for him or you did not vote for him. Now, when you say all Cameroonians stand, we know the results of the last presidential elections were approximately 54 to the next was about 35, and then others came down. Now, when you talk about all, what do you mean?
Maybe we can say a majority.
Okay.
A large majority of Cameroonians stand behind President Paul Biya. A large majority of Cameroonians support the concept of national unity. This because we see Cameroonians on National Day, they come out in their numbers to celebrate all over the national territory. Even in some areas, like in the northwest and southwest, where there used to be a crisis, we saw that this time the people came out in their numbers to celebrate National Day, which means they accept it. They feel that Cameroon should be one and indivisible. They feel that Cameroon should stay united behind the head of state. They should stay behind their national anthem, behind their constitution, behind their development, because they know that if they are peaceful, if there's stability, then there will be development. And this development is perceptible because if you look at what has happened in Cameroon in terms of development from independence to today, you see that the indicators are clear in terms of development. We're talking of economic activities. The country has been progressing steadily, even if at certain moments we have some crisis, like the crisis, the world crisis that came up in the 90s. But we know that Cameroon has been growing steadily. Our budget has been growing steadily. Our development has been growing very steadily. And this development is being shared to all Cameroonians.
You have talked about a crisis in the 90s. Yes, we have not talked about the crises that are ongoing, especially in the northwest and southwest.
Yes, there are crises. The crises in the northwest and southwest are like those in other parts of the country. We are not only talking of northwest, southwest, we're talking of the north, extreme north, we're talking of the east and so on. And when we talk of crises that affect the stability of a country, we're talking of a national crisis that touch the whole country. But you know that the crises we're facing today are touching certain parts of the country. I don't want us to go into the debate of the Anglophone crisis, but you know that...
But the debate is there.
Of course, the controversy is there because this crisis started because the Anglophones put up some problems which were quite legitimate, and the government did address these problems. So the crisis was supposed to have come to an end because those who started the crisis, the lawyers, they're in the courts, the teachers are in the classroom. So what is going on now is just terrorism. And terrorism is not an affair of Cameroon. Terrorism is, in fact, a world affair. We have terrorists all over the whole world.
You will continue, but, well, you might say that people are bringing up other things behind, call them different agendas behind. But when you say that it was addressed, those who are saying that the cause of the crisis were not just the corporate teachers and lawyers' demands, that for you to settle what's happening in Northwest and Southwest, you have to go back to the root causes. It was just a stepping stone in 2016.
Maybe you're taking us back to the question of secession, which now is one of the major threats to national unity, which a majority of Cameroonians have accepted. We will not accept that someone or some group of persons should stand one day and say they want to divide the country and create a new country. If we are fighting for unity, because we think that if we are united, we're strong, if we are united, we will have development, then we should condemn anyone who comes up with secessionist idea to divide our country. And that's why the crisis cannot continue, because many Cameroonians, you don't like the word all, but many Cameroonians even from the northwest and southwest, feel that there's no need for this crisis, and that they are now coming back now to think about their development in a united country like Cameroon.
You had other achievements before we move on?
We are talking about, we've talked about this peace, stability, democracy. We're talking about economic growth. We know how Cameroon has developed up to this point. We're talking about infrastructure. We're talking of industries that develop in our country. We are talking about social cohesion. We're talking of people who stand and together like one person, who think that they have to support the idea, the concept of unity, because they think that if they're united, they're going to be stronger. We've seen Cameroonians stand like one person to support their national team, and because of that support, the national team continues to win and win. So I think the achievements, we may not be able to put all, but they are enormous and they're perceptible to any person who is right thinking.
And that is going to be part of our program to see whether those achievements, translate themselves into the daily realities of Cameroonians. But we are not yet there. We are still on identifying the various achievements that we have had with the Unity Day. And I think it's your place now to give us some of the achievements, Dr. Ayuk Takemina.
Thank you, Killian. Once again, it's a pleasure to be here to discuss this very important topic, very important national theme. Before I continue, I wish to reiterate that Cameroon National Day is not only a moment for celebration, but also a moment for Cameroonians to reflect on unity, governance, development, and the future we are building as Cameroonians. About the achievement, it might be very easy to criticize, but the fact that the future is promising, it means there are achievements. There are always problems. I will say the major achievement of Cameroon at this moment is national unity and stability. It's not an overstatement to say that Cameroon remains one of the most stable countries in Central Africa, despite its own internal tension. There's no country without internal tension. When we look at also in the area of infrastructural development, you look at a project like the Lompanga hydroelectricity project, a lot of resources were mobilized by the government to realize such a project. It's hundreds of billions and trillions. So I think it's a great achievement for the nation. In the area of sport, you look at the sport infrastructure we have in Cameroon. They are not found in other countries of the world. Also, I want to talk about the area of education and the development of human capital. I think we are doing well with 11 public universities which are doing well, ensuring that Cameroonians to get education, which is very important, and also so many private institutions in the area of human capital development. Cameroon is not left out. It's a great achievement that we need to consolidate. And even in the area of economic growth and development, I wish to say that Cameroon is an economic giant in the Central Africa. Yeah, so we have a lot of things we are doing well, be it in economic and social. This is not to deny the fact that there are no problems. There are challenges, like in all other countries of the world, that as we are talking about consolidating, if we are talking about sustainability, we are talking about strengthening what we have achieved as a nation. If we look at the area of education and human capital development, even Cameroonians, when they leave Cameroon and travel out of Cameroon, they are flying in their various jobs and in other universities of the world. Yeah, in the area of the provision of public goods and even merit goods, I think we have hospitals to take care. Cameroon is one of those countries, I heard, that one of those countries that certain diseases that can be taken care. We talk about malaria treatment for young children and all of that. Those are certain achievements I would like to mention: development, health, education, human capital, And our strongest point we need to consolidate is national unity and stability. Thank you.
Yes, and we'll get to that level. It will be the last part of our program. How do we do that? How do we make that happen? We are not yet there. We're still at the level of identifying our achievements, and this time we're going to call on you, Mr. Brooks, Amala Brooks, to tell us which are some of the areas of achievements that we can identify in Cameroon.
Well, my brothers mentioned a lot of things before me, but let me say that Cameroon has made a lot of progress in everything so far, because we can see free speech. In some countries, if you make this program, you get arrested out of the street. But here you can talk, criticize the government. Sometimes you still get free. But Cameroon has done a lot of things. We can talk about education, which not to mention, economy, which he mentioned, and the culture is a big problem. We've made progress in Cameroon in the sense that you can easily travel from east to south, west, and north with no problem. We can we can eat all the foods. We can share the different dishes in Cameroon. So that is what we've done in this country. If you look at where we come from, look at around Cameroon itself, you have wars in all these countries. South African Republic, Chad, Congo, and so on. But Cameroon is still peaceful. Economically, we're doing very well. But I think that we have achieved more than that. We don't want to repeat what others have said. But we have our own problems internally. But globally, we've done quite a lot. Economically, politically, integration is real. Because today, who is Anglophone, who is Francophone, really, it's the same nation. As far as I'm concerned, I think that out of Cameroon, we work together as Cameroonians. We love one another. We don't have issue of, we just work as Cameroonian. Of course,
now, when you say that, see, the way I'm looking at you, we've had recent cases with the Cameroonian diaspora, some who have vandalized embassies, some who have vandalized official figures, public figures of Cameroon, who found themselves out there. And we've seen a lot of hate speech, hatred, division in the diaspora.
Look, these are issues of a minority. Among Cameroonians, some have issues. I mentioned earlier, they have some issues. I don't want to get into those issues. But the fact is this, Cameroonians all over, north, east, south, we are all together and working for this country. I can tell you, if you look at Cameroonians abroad and the dream they have for the country, we can build this country turn this into paradise. So the ones that have this behavior of destroying embassies, burning, this is, as far as I'm concerned, these are not real Cameroonians. A real Cameroonian is the one who would like to come and build the nation. Cameroonians who want to build this nation would be to go abroad, study, and bring back something into the country. So if you accept to ever burn your own country, I don't think you're a patriot. Cameroonians love the country, all of them. Anglophone, Francophone, Northeast, we want to build this nation and begin to paradise.
That is what all of us wish to see.
Exactly.
But unfortunately, that is not what happens.
Exactly.
Let us even come back to the country.
Yes.
We still have, even this week, we had incidents in some parts of the country where people who are not natives, it's been repeating itself, they were not received, their property destroyed. We have that also in the country.
Exactly. This is where integration comes. The next point you make is correct. Why do some Cameroonians behave and why do some misbehave? That's going to be a question. Those who misbehave have a reason which cannot be explained. To be honest with you, I don't see a real Cameroonian burning a shop because one is from the north or from the east. If you are a Cameroonian, you are in your country wherever you go. So some have these issues. I don't back them up. I believe that a real Cameroonian will be the one to welcome every Cameroon wherever you go.
And I hold you on that point, and I wish that you do not forget when we get to suggesting how our national
That is
unity
where-
and integration can be consolidated, you will tell us that nobody should do this and is not taken to the lower courts and paid.
Exactly.
And paid.
Exactly.
Because if it happens,
Yes.
and the person who perpetrates that is not punished, does not receive draconian punishment, then someone somewhere is encouraging that. But, well,
That may be a politician, maybe.
we're going to get to that level. I was saying this because you made that point, and
Yes.
you pointed it out so clearly.
It's okay.
I'm going to move over to Eugene D, who is a journalist who looks at things sometimes not from any partisan corner. He is an observer most of the time, giving a distance to whatever happens before he comes out. That's what journalists do. That's why journalists are the middlemen. That's why the mandatory role of the press and pressmen is to be the middle person, the mediator between those who rule, those who govern, and those who are governed. Now you have heard the three first speakers, Eugene. I don't know whether you're going to identify some achievements that we've had. If you cannot identify, then you move on to the next question. Are we having Cameroonians feeling these achievements that have been enumerated here on their daily basis? You can start with achievements if you have some. But if not, we move on with the program.
Yes, thank you, Killian. I'm happy that I'm being part of this conversation today and discussing this very important issue. If we go back to the achievements, then we will just be repeating ourselves and wasting a lot of time, because the three previous speakers have elaborated so much on it. And I'm also happy that Mr. Brooks could raise the fact that we have some level of freedom, press freedom now. Though we think it could be improved. We think that it could be improved. Just to say that what you said is good, but we still think we can do better.
Okay.
We can do better. Even in other domains that he was mentioning, education, healthcare, and so on. Yes, we have had hospitals built, reference hospitals everywhere, and all of that. But who is served there, and who receives treatment there, and how accessible are these hospitals, and how is healthcare accessible to people? Having hospitals is good, having vaccination is good, but do people really benefit is what we should ask ourselves as Cameroonians, because it's yes, Killian, coming back to your question, I think what Big Brother here, through Jonathan and then Dr. Ayuk and Brooks said here was that presented a very big and a macro level achievements, which is okay by me. If there is road, if there is potable water and so on, that is macro level. But again, there are disparities on who is served these macro achievements that they have enumerated. Like I started talking about the press freedom that can be improved. We have road network, as for Food Jonathan was saying, that there has been growth in infrastructure. But when we look at the infrastructure now, you see that there is a huge disparity, because some urban centers have more of this infrastructure than the rural. When you look at some regions, I'm trying not to say some regions that speak some kind of language and some that don't speak. You see that some of these projects, the industries and so on that Fru Jonathan was enumerating, are concentrated in one place than the other. So these are achievements we have, but consolidating them means we have to open up. We need to open up and make sure that these achievements are spread across. It shouldn't be an issue of having a layer of achievement here, then having some other Cameroonians who have been disenfranchised from, benefiting from the achievements you just mentioned. So to consolidate, like you were saying, let me come back, to consolidate this macro achievement that we have we have mentioned, we have to make sure that it goes down to the micro level so that somebody who is from a Yomujok, for instance, or from Baligam, or maybe, I don't know from where I come from, should be able to feel like someone who is in Sangmalima, like someone who is in Mayomisi, like someone who is in Garwa. That is when we would have consolidated, because we spread across and make sure that the achievement goes right to the micro level.
That's right.
Yes.
Thank you.
We're
we're going to remain on, do we feel these achievements at the level of, like Eugene is saying, the normal, the common Cameroonian? But before we get there, Eugene, you're talking about this, the road network that is not commonly, evenly distributed. There is one place in Cameroon. I am not from there. It's not because I'm English speaking.
Yes.
I think this is the only division of headquarters that is not linked by a third route, and it is Menji. I think it's Menji in Libyelam.
Yes.
There's no third route that gets into a whole division, and I don't know why some of you don't talk about this. You are the one who mentioned it.
No.
And I think
Yes.
the people, those who are in government and they come from that level, I know from that place, I know so many of them are hard working, they're supposed to take up this as a very serious problem. Those who are attributing
Of course.
roads.
Of course. This is what I was saying.
No, we're not talking about the person.
No.
Because it's about national development.
You are,
Libyelam should have a third road.
This is
Should have a
exactly what
third road.
this is
That's it.
exactly what I was raising. There is no reason that Libyelam division shouldn't have a third road, and then there are subdivisions that cars don't even go there. I don't want to call them that cars don't even go there, but they have road.
The people of
They have road.
The people of Manchum could take me to court because I don't think that. Because they are not linked by a third road.
It's also not linked. So what I'm saying, so it comes back to, we have huge governance issues. There are governance gaps that we need to close. All right? There are these governance gaps that we need to close. There are issues of mismanagement and corruption. Let me call it the way we call it. That is preventing these benefits from going right down to the micro level. All right? Why should... And unfortunately, we have Libyelam, and then we have elites from Libyelam who are in government, and they struggle every day.
We have Menchum
you
too,
have
yeah.
Menchum. Until recently, you were talking, until recently, Dongamantu, where I come from.
It's already a thing of the past. Dongamantu has a very good tarot.
It's now.
Dongamantu is an El Dorado.
It is now.
Let us allow that.
There is progress.
What has been stopping? That is what I'm saying. I'm saying that if we need to work on these gaps, these governance gaps, these issues around mismanagement, issues around corruption, because they're actually preventing this benefit. They're the issues, they're the obstacles to the benefit to go right down to the people down there.
Yes, let's come back to the senior through Jonathan. He talked about peace, stability, democracy. And what Eugene is talking about gives us the impression, and I don't think that it's wrong, to think that if people don't have these things, there's a problem of social justice. You talked about peace. Can we say that we can enjoy any kind of peace without social justice?
Rather, I think we should be talking about social justice in Cameroon, because from his analysis, Eugene's analysis, it's like all the roads, all development has to come up at the same time. We must understand that we are talking here of national development. And there's a strategy, government strategy to achieve development in the country. When you talk about Menji, you already talk about Menchum. Somebody from the extreme north will quote several areas that don't have good roads too. But the fact is that the government policy is to be able to get roads all around the whole country.
From the far north, I will speak. And, from the far north, I will speak. We have Mokolo, that's Mayo Chanaga. We have Mora, Mayo Sava, we have Yagwa, Mayo Danai, we have Kaele, Mayo Kani, we have Diamare, which is the center there in Marwa. All these places are linked. We have Kuseri.
Of course, I agree with you.
The roads, all these places are linked.
The road network normally is progressive, which means that the government has to go on to build the roads as the means available and as the planning is being done. Government has a policy on that. Maybe to link the regions, maybe to link agricultural areas, maybe to link mining areas and so on. So there's at least some government policy strategy being carried out. But what is important is that when we're talking here of national unity, we're saying that the national cake should be able to be shared to everybody, to the whole country. And that's why in Cameroon, we have the human resources, even economic resources, they are varied and they are distributed in various areas. You will have mining activities in the east, you will have forest activities in the center here, you will have agriculture, cotton and so on. In fact, it is petroleum even. So it is a question of putting all these resources together to develop Cameroon, which means that some areas can be able to complement areas. Some areas where they don't have sufficient resources, those that have resources will complement areas that have resources. And this can be seen in the way the national budget is prepared. The national budget is prepared not taking into consideration specific areas. It is a budget that is prepared based on the demands that come from the base that are well prioritized and executed. The budget touches on every part of the country. Today we are talking about decentralization. The decentralization is on. Our councils are becoming more effective, and the impact of development is even getting closer to the base because of decentralization. If we talk about roads, for instance, how they are felt, at one moment there was the ring road in the northwest region. Today the ring road is being constructed. Sometimes it was an abandoned area, but the government has a plan for its activities, and this plan is being executed. No government will want its people to suffer. On the contrary, all the efforts of the government are to ensure that the people benefit from it.
I think, Tufo, I use road just as one example. It can go to health, it can go to education, it can go to other sectors. What I used was just one. Now, if I wanted to say education, for instance, where classrooms are constructed in areas that have less number of students than in areas that actually need demographic. You know, so many examples abound across several sectors. So when I use the road network, it was just one of the examples.
And he used your example to show you how it is working well. Maybe we may not ask him to go to education, go to health and the rest.
And I don't want us to say we're moving to a perfect situation.
Okay.
Let us accept that it is impossible. We cannot get all the schools built at the same time in all the areas. But all the hospitals and the schools, there's a government planning. Everything is planified. And the schools are built according to the needs which come from the base. And these are inscribed in the state budget and executed in all the areas where they need the schools and hospitals.
Yes, you inspire me as I'm coming back to Dr. Ayuk, who talked about the fact that there are 11 state universities spread across the country. And to each of these universities, you have professional training institutions that you have in education, in health, in mining, you're talking about in forestry, and in so many other, in fishing, in so many other domains. Dr. Ayuk, that should be part of decentralization. I have gone around the country. I was naming places in the far north as if I was there now. We'll go to the east, I will name them the same. You know what it used to take for someone to leave? Some families that don't have the means to transport their children from there to Yaoundé and back to school, they don't need to come to Yaoundé. So is that decentralization, which you did not talk about, working? I know we were already on how to consolidate our achievements.
That was the point.
Okay, thank you very much, Kilian. I started by saying that Cameroonians must recognize that nation building is a continuous process. If any person thinks that it's a one-shot ceremony, then we are lying. I said this is a very important national team, so we don't come here to color facts. Before I get to your question, I want to talk a little bit about whether a common man in Sumbe, in the southwest, in Manyu Division, in Akwaya, in Tokombele, in Mokolo, in the extreme north, in Wum, is feeling the achievements, some of the achievements we cited. Good. I want to say no and yes. No, a common man is not feeling it. I want to start with the no before I get to the yes part of it. No, youth unemployment is still a serious problem in Cameroon, and that is why we think that now is the time for Cameroonians to come together and solve this problem. This is the time for results. We cannot continue in a nation where young people go to school, they come out of school and they cannot get meaningful jobs. It's a problem, the cost of living. Just as I'm saying, even though we are doing quite well, when you look at macroeconomic objectives that the government is supposed to achieve in the area of employment, stability of prices, we have issues there. In governance, as Eugene cited, he talked of corruption. Perception remains very high, which is a serious issue we must talk about if we want our nation to progress. Also, we know about security concern, the Boko Haram in the far north, the Anglophone crisis in the northwest and southwest region. Those are some key challenges that are affecting us consolidating our achievement. Issues of inequality, as he talked about,
distribution.
It is but normal that in a nation, everybody should get a fair share of the national cake. There are still issues, and that's why from time to time we see problems emanating about this region has not been given this and that, which I think as a nation we can come together and try to solve such problems. So I started by saying some of the things that are affecting our nation, that a common man, maybe in the southwest, in the extreme north, cannot get quality water and the rest. It's not to say that everything is bad. From the yes part of the story, I think the future of this great nation is very promising. We, as a nation, a certain part of this country are very peaceful for people to get into agriculture, do farming like where I come from. People cultivate cocoa. They are doing quite well. They can sell their products in the market. There is an enabling environment that has been made by the government. But as I was saying, if such problems, the problems I cited, if they are solved, some of this achievement we made mention will be able to benefit all Cameroonians as a nation.
Thank you so much. And we're moving over to Leon Amala Brooks. There is a promise that we made when you first intervened here on the set, and we said we were going to come back to how do we use the disintegration of minds to consolidate our achievement of integration.
First of all, decentralization, real one. You cannot build a country once. You have to do it gradually. To work in a country like Cameroon, you must decentralize the whole system and have governor elected. It means that if you are a governor in any region, you have a program. Don't get appointed, but be elected by your own people with your economic program, so that you know exactly what is happening in the Southwest. You have to be elected in there to know what it is. Therefore, if you're elected with a program, you have 5 years. So we can watch you and say, okay, this man, based on this program, is making progress. I don't believe, take South Africa, where I stay, is a federal country, decentralized, with regions, governor elected. Sometimes a governor might not be in the same party as the president of the republic. Therefore, you have a program and they elect you based on your program.
Now, let me ask you this question. Sometimes when you compare, it doesn't give you reason for the comparison. Now, this is what I want to ask.
Yes.
In Cameroon, we have another system. Mayors who are those who carry development. We have regional assemblies and regional councils. Those who are heading these institutions in Cameroon are elected.
Do they have a program?
Yes, they do.
I would say, for example, take CPDM. Does CPDM in the center behave like CPDM in the southwest? I don't think so.
The governor of the center, for example, what you are talking about. Now, let me look at this. I'm not saying what you're saying. In Nigeria, for example, it's a federal state, and
Yes.
governors are elected. Governors are the representatives. They have their own system. But in Cameroon, governors oversee. They don't carry out those projects. We have the mayors, we have the regional councillors, we have the general assemblies. So what is your problem with
But
that?
still, in every region, there have to be some specific issues in the region.
We are listening to you.
So that when you have a governor elected in a program, his electorates will know that when this man is in power, elected, he's going to achieve the following over 5 years. Now, if you don't have this program, if this program is imposed upon you by the party, central party, you will never develop the nation. This is why you can see we have achieved a lot of things, but still much remains to be done. Why? Because the decentralization is not done yet. For example, I've heard you are supposed to pay this region 5% of the budget, 5%, right?
15%.
15%.
Have it been done so far? Has it been done?
Finish your,
Yeah,
As a result, if there is no budget per region, you want to achieve your program with no budget. It's not possible.
Now, let me move around the set again. But before I go, the governors are state representatives. They are not party representatives.
Exactly. This is where the problem is. In fact, if a governor is a state representative in a region, what is his agenda? He will be trying to execute the party. Nevertheless, if you were elected in a region, he comes in with a program, and he is elected based on a program. In that case,
I think we're talking about regional development.
Yes.
And the moderator said it clearly that in an effort to decentralize, we have mayors who are at the grassroots, who are elected. And mayors have their programs, they have their budgets that they elaborate. They have budgetary councils that the councillors adopt the budget and execute it. It is the same thing that happens at the level of the region, where we have regional assemblies with representatives from all the regions.
Yes.
All the divisions, subdivisions, they are represented in the regional assembly, where they come up with projects. These projects are elaborated in a budget. This budget is adopted at the region and executed.
I agree.
And the government merely gives support the activities of these decentralized bodies. The governors are there just to supervise, just to monitor and oversee the activities of these regions. They have their budgets which they execute. They have their programs which they execute, which are grassroots oriented. That is the down-up approach where these projects are identified and taken up to the region for examination and execution.
Well, that could be the point, but I still maintain that if governors are not elected, there is no democracy. They should be elected in every region with a program. It means every governor is elected with a program, and the people can watch this being executed. If that's not the case, it will always be a problem of achievement. There will be no...
does not execute.
Okay. Now, let us say that that's his proposal, because we have governors in some countries heading the different... They're elected, heading the different regions, if you call them. In some places you have states and so on and so forth. So that's a proposal. It's on the table. Maybe one day the Cameroonian system will incorporate that. But for now we have regions, and at the head of such regions we have regional presidents, we have who are elected.
Okay.
We have mayors who are elected.
Okay.
We have regional
based on
assembly.
an agenda.
Yes. So
of course.
your idea,
Okay.
your idea is on the table.
So,
this is a public show, and I know every idea here counts.
Yeah.
Every opinion counts, and the people who take the decisions have listened to you.
I hope
Maybe
so.
that could be harmonized in Cameroon one way or the other. Now, Eugene, I am told that we don't have so much time left, but we have time to look at the way forward on this program.
Thank you again.
Consolidating
our national unity, our achievements.
Yes.
Mr. Brooks, I want to think we could start, first of all, by asking for the program of the one who rules this country, and then follow up on that program and see what he has for each region. If we do that and follow up and do some monitoring, we may know if at the end of the mandate something is being achieved. Because when as a matter of fact, the daily reality of an average Cameroonian today is rising cost of living, it's unemployment, it is poor service delivery, it is, but we only hear about macro achievements like what we are saying here. So if we could, first of all, before going to the regions, if we could first of all ask the person who Mr. Fru Jonathan was saying a majority of Cameroonians believe in. If we ask him that since a majority of Cameroonians believe in you, can you show us your program for Cameroonians for the next 7 years? Then there, me, who is from the Northwest now, I extract what is in the program for the Northwest. Then I begin to follow up to see if it has been achieved at the end of the mandate or so. That is my own approach. And by doing so, we hold them accountable by their promises. If I always want to use the example of us who are here. If Mr. Fru Jonathan goes to Santa and says, okay, the next mandate, this is what we, when I say we, I'm referring to when you go there as political elite, that this is what we are going to do. It will be what the big person has sent. So it is our duty to take all of that, look at the plan that Mr. Fru Jonathan, who was coming on behalf of, has presented, then we hold, so that each year, if they said, okay, the first year of the first mandate, we are going to build a school in Santambe, you go down to check if this has happened and so on. If they said, okay, in the second year, we are going to open a road from Awing to wherever, we check. We are going to build a cattle market. We begin to check, but we need to have that. But again, I am a reporter, and having access to such information here in this country is a problem.
The point he is making, the point Eugene is making, falls in line with the point that you, Dr. Ayuk, made in terms of employment. That when you talked about the no and yes of how we should consolidate, translate our achievements into action, and you talked about youth employment. What we know is that the President of the Republic has, as the program of his current 7-year term, to employ the youth, focus on the youth and the women. So do you buy the point Eugene Ndi is making, that, okay, as a policymaker, he has given this as directive to those who are under him, that by 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, if the situation on the youth don't change, you are the one who raised it. He is going to sanction them. Sanction means that he will sack them for not delivery.
Thank you. Yeah, I think what we are seeing here is that when people are either elected or appointed, there should be a stated goal which they are supposed to achieve. And after some time, yeah, they have to verify, audit them to whether those goals were achieved. Just like you're saying, now is the time for results. We have to consolidate our achievements. Issues also like social justice and equal distribution of wealth comes into play. We are a nation, and for this nation to survive in this very difficult moment, it is necessary that the national cake should be shared equally.
Equitably, I like to say equitably.
Yeah. To be shared fairly.
Fairly.
By sharing the national cake fairly, I think it will also prevent future internal tensions, because some of these internal tensions too are very costly to us as a nation, and adversely they affect us consolidating what we have achieved so far. So I think there are certain macroeconomic objectives that if we have stated goals and we work towards that, the future of Cameroon remains promising.
Thank you so much, Mr. Brooks. You have 1 minute for your way forward.
Well,
and then Mr. Fru Jonathan also has 1 minute, and we close the program.
Cameroon is a great nation. We have a lot of potential everywhere. But the point is that we need to have a public decentralization process in place. You talk about unemployment. How do you employ people with no quality? It means they have all these degrees, but no quality, no education per se.
Professional.
We have
That's what
degrees.
Are you saying Cameroonians don't have any education?
No, what I'm saying is this: we have to have private sector. As far as I'm concerned, train people to have degrees and something in profession. In terms of because I don't want to see a PhD holder unemployed. I would love to see a PhD holder having an activity, which could be, I don't know.
You see, the point is making we have to specialize in such a way that when you come out, you don't go to the streets with a PhD to
our young men trained into a profession.
Your point is well taken. Yes.
I'll rapidly assure about the program, the political program of the head of state. To assure him that if the head of state has been voted for several mandates, it's because he has a program that is accepted by Cameroonians, a political, economic, social program which is acceptable. That's why he's been voted all through. And for the way forward about our unity, I think all the problems we've raised here, the solution starts with us. If we're talking about national unity, the unity should start with us, Cameroonians, at our various levels. If I look at what is happening today, where we fight each other, we insult each other, I see on the field in the northwest today where they describe some as blackleg and kill them and so on. That is threatening our national unity. Let us not only rely on the government implementing national unity, we should help the government to be able to implement national unity in our country.
We should be the change we want to see.
I would like to see the head of state's program.
Thank you.
When we leave the state,
the
station, maybe I'm going to corner you. I know you are so.
Thank you,
at
Eugene.
The central committee, you can get a copy for me so that I can share with my brother Bruce to start following up.
Thank you. That is the Eugene, the publisher, editor-in-chief of Newswatch newspaper. Thank you so much, Mr. Fru Jonathan, who is an elite and chargé de mission, CPGM Central Committee. Thank you, Dr. Ayuk Takemeyang, who is an economist, public affairs analyst, Leon Amala Brooks, civil society actor, and diasporan. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching this program. If you missed out on anything, on Monday at 2:30, there will be a rebroadcast of this program as we wait for another rendezvous next Sunday. Thank you so much for being there.